Oh, okay, everybody. It's been about a month since I've had a podcast. And what's the date today? April 15th. This is going to go on the E-Nertia channels. And I want to introduce you and let you introduce yourself to everybody out there, my fan base, and just who you are, where you come from, and what's your resume to allow you to sit right next to me.
All right. Well, my name is Matt. I've been a wrestling, mark, if that's what you want to call it, for probably 30 years. So I was about 5 years old whenever I started watching wrestling. And I've seen everything from the NWO to the Attitude Era, all the way up through till the current, stuff we have now, which some people say it's good, some people say it's not so good. But, it just depends on what you feel.
But it's funny, and what I'm excited for is it's funny that you say go back from the NWO to this, because I can tell you what my wrestling resume is it goes from I've seen in my lifetime. I was born in 1979. I saw the fall of the territories.
Wow.
And I've lived long enough now to see what I believe the era of the territories coming back.
I agree.
And having been pursuing acting and films for the last 15 years and dedicating myself to theater arts and learning how to become an actor and really seeing, always having that love of professional wrestling. I liked wrestling when I was little, but I think like once I hit a teenager and I started lifting weights and boy, then wrestling became like when I was in like mid 90s, when that anti-hero phase, like when my childhood hero Hogan turns heel, just when I'm in that rebel phase with our flannels and our Nirvana music. Like it was a cool time for that renaissance in wrestling. And I remember like then going, wrestling is changing. And since then, yeah, it's evolved quite a few times. And you said for the better, question mark. I don't know. Yeah. Let's start right off the bat. Do you are we in the best era, or the best era gone?
I think that the best era of wrestling is behind us. Because I feel like the best era of wrestling was the Attitude Era, where you could just kind of like, and I don't want to say like you could do what you want, but it was more or less like the envelope was able to be pushed and people were not expecting to have the envelope pushed. Nowadays, people are so complacent with just anything being on their TV a lot of times. Like if you had like a match, like let's say an ECW popped up, right? And you have like these brutal matches going on. People now would just be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's all right. They're bleeding, okay." Like back then, though, like in the '90s, like that was a big deal, man. Like that was a huge deal. Like you had people like Montar, on national Mantar, yes. Yeah, on national TV, and you have a guy like I don't know, like Taz doing Taz missions and Taz plexes, like in bashing people's skulls on ECW, and it was like 12 o'clock at night. I remember being a kid staying up till like midnight on Saturday or Friday, and like just to get like the repeat of like ECW that they were allowed to show on TV. And it was always like the most interesting thing to me to watch like these guys like why would you do that? Like they're not getting paid a lot. Why would you do that? And it was just it's just interesting to me.
Okay. So what I'm digging right here is that I think, and when I asked you earlier what your 3 favorite wrestlers were, and I ain't going to reveal that because I just needed to know where I can come from in all this. But it's needless to say that you're a fan of the WWF Attitude Era. You're a fan of.
I'm a fan of that, but I was.
Are you saying that's when it peaked to you?
That's whenever it peaked. I was more of a WCW mark.
Okay.
Than I was.
See, I feel things have peaked 95, 96, 97, 98.
Yep.
I am more of a fan of the ruthless aggression era after the Attitude Era. If you're talking WWE product, also pre, uh, I really liked the Kevin Nash Diesel era as opposed to and the Bret Hart era. And I know Bret Hart was $400,000, didn't make any money and didn't draw, I guess, according to history and Scott Hall. But I liked that era. I, being a country boy redneck, really connected somehow always with that Southern product, even though hating Ric Flair. And I discredit Flair any chance I got because I was a Hogan guy. But and to see Hogan go down there and then destroy it all as the NWO was legit to me. So I didn't really ever care because WWE, I always liked more of a sports presentation, exactly like AEW is doing now. And I remember even when I was little and I'd switch over to WCW, it was always more of a sports centric broadcast, even from to the announcers as more of that showy rock and roll glamour, like more fake and and more cartoony. And I just was more drawn to. I think the purest pro wrestling is it's a satire on real sports, and it's an exaggeration. And I think the bigger the better. Uh, I don't know. In boxing, you're throwing real punches. In wrestling,
Yeah.
it's dramatic, so you got to understand those two things deep down. And I think only a true, that's why I don't even know if I like Two Smart Marks, because we're not smarks. All
No,
right.
no, we're not. Uh, like I'm gonna say this name, and this is probably like the worst name on the planet to drop anytime, any place if you're talking about wrestling. I watched a Vince Russo, okay, a
Yeah.
Vince Russo like interview like a couple days ago, right? And I never really understood Vince Russo. Like I understood that he went to WCW. A lot of people say he destroyed it, whatever. Okay. What they don't understand is the Attitude Era of WWE. He wrote everything during the Attitude Era until he left and went to WCW. So if like these people who sit there and go, "Oh, I love the Attitude Era," like I have friends who are like diehard like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, like these are all the guys that they love, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you realize like, but then when you talk about Russo, like they like hate him. But like he said something in that interview that made more sense to me than anything has ever made sense in wrestling. If you're going to put on a wrestling show, put on a wrestling show. Have it just be wrestling. Very little dialogue, very little storyline, just have it be wrestling. If you're going to put on a television show that happens to have wrestling, which is kind of what they did in the Attitude Era, was it was more like no. If you go back and you look at matches in the Attitude Era, the longest matches were like 10 minutes, but everybody got over. And you also didn't have guys getting injured the way that guys get injured now, where they take like 20, 30-minute matches and they take a bump off of the top rope and like now they have a fractured, you know, vertebrae or they have something wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like and I'm a big huge fan of AEW. Like I love the stuff that they do there. But like you're right. Like WWE is more or less a TV show, and that's what you're watching it for, is that entertainment value.
Well, the difference
AEW,
also is that WCW with Turner was a TV network that made a wrestling show.
yes,
The other way around, Vince was always a wrestling company that one of his products was a wrestling show.
yeah,
And it was always meant, but he had through the history of the steroid trials had to change directions and he had to at one time say, this is why I'm not a real sport, folks, because there's not, it does, this is all part of this is drama. This is why, he had to put all that out. So I think that's why he always wanted to stray away from that. For some reason, he had that itch that he hated that Southern style wrestling and always wanted something bigger. When you were talking about hating ECW, or did you like ECW?
No, I loved ECW.
Okay.
I still love ECW. Like I'll put on like an old school like ECW match, and I just absolutely love it. And that's probably the reason why I mean I don't want to get into like who my favorites are or whatever, but like Moxley
Yeah.
is like a pretty good top 5, top 3, is because like he kind of reminds me of that Smash Mouth like ECW style that like I think that some fans are craving, and then other people are just they don't like it. Go ahead.
I wasn't a fan of ECW.
Mhm.
I thought it stood for extremely crappy wrestling. I hate the fact that we have to cut ourselves up and have all those gimmicks. I don't like gimmicks too much. I like gimmicks and sprinkle them in and make them mean something.
Yeah.
And and I like horror movies. But I like movies where you just can't overkill something, and that's what ECW was to me. And it's ruined people's careers and it's ruined people's bodies, and there's no sense for it. And then the shit with New Jack, and like he's just out to just like this is a homicidal maniac who's just out to just like hurt people and like really
Yeah.
like try to like kill you, and I'm just not down with that.
Yeah. New Jack is
This
I
is a
don't know.
business. At the end of the day, this is a business, and people take, a bunch of men. There's testosterone and shit, but like at the end of the day, you gotta take care of the person in the ring with you, and like, oof, I don't know about that, cutting you with a knife and stuff.
Basically, you just don't take somebody on a 30-foot scaffolding and toss their ass off it.
Yeah,
That's not a good idea. I mean, there's some things that you go, you know what, this is this is Oreos. This is good. I can dip these in the milk and eat them, and it's fine. Or I can throw them on the floor and smash them. Which one would I rather do? You know what I mean?
They're Oreo or High Drops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like WWE is slowly becoming the High Drops of the sandwich cookie.
That's the problem. Is I'm not to segue into anything, but to segue into like WrestleMania.
Oh, the segue's coming soon, but you said that best of times are in the past.
Yep.
And my Erwin R. Shyster t-shirt says that I respect and I love the past of wrestling. We'll talk about Mike Rotundo in a minute too. But I will say that I believe that we are in the best of times right now, and the best, it's only going to get better. Because right now we're in an era. I'm a 41-year-old man. I've been conservatively a wrestling fan for 39 years, safe to say.
Nerd alert!
And now I'm guessing at what's happening, and I'm loving it. So,
yeah, I can.
However, though, that does not apply to WWE. And now, you being our official WWE correspondent, I will put the WWE logo using my fantastic editing skills. I will put the WWE logo over your head, and it's yours. Show these people why you're here in that seat.
All right.
He's gonna do the news.
No, I mean, like WrestleMania, there was some pros that came out of it, like the Bad Bunny match, like for being a celebrity going on to a wrestling show. I mean, let's face it, there hasn't really been one since David Arquette that actually got over anywhere, and that's whenever you can hit the drum roll because that's hilarious. But anyway.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You're level 0 right now. You got to level up to at least 3 before you're allowed to call for your own sound effects. Okay. You hear that rule? Okay. You'll get to call sound effects. And first, if he's dropping facts like David Arquette. David Arquette's back in the wrestling business. 1.
He is.
2, you're forgetting about Bullet Club's very own Stephen ML, the Green Arrow.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I think that match there went over pretty well. I think that the idea was to get Damian Priest over, and I think it kind of like helped him out a little bit there. Also, like, let's face it, anytime the Miz and Morrison loses on a stage like WrestleMania, and it's an artist that I've honestly never heard of until now, that's fine with me. So
you don't like the Miz?
Not a fan. No. Nah.
I'm not a fan. The Miz is up and down. I hate the fact that Miz just I hate that he makes enough to just have a lazy WWE career. That's what I hated
Yes.
most about him because
Yes.
I would love to take Miz to my acting classes, and I soon want to have wrestlers start reaching out to wrestlers to join our acting classes because I want to say this guy has dedicated the last 25 years to his character.
Yeah.
The guy eats, sleeps, and pisses the Miz.
He
And
does.
every time my wife sees him, she'll have to say, "That's the Miz from the Real World episode, blah blah," or whatever kind of And boy, he always said he was going to be a wrestler. That's dedication.
Yeah.
But does that equal success? I mean, yeah, great. It's why Chris Jericho left to go to see what he could do in AEW because he wasn't satisfied. I think the Miz is one of those guys that just boy man pissed a lot away.
Yeah, I could see that. And I can agree with that a lot, but it's still the Miz, and I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I
Now,
mean,
what night one, night two? What was your favorite night?
night one.
Okay,
Night one
okay.
was definitely the better night out of the two, which was a really big letdown in my opinion because
What
like
was the
night
big
one was
shebang?
so good. What do you mean?
Who was so good?
Well, night one in general, like every
Okay,
match was like really good, except for the first one, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre was kind of whatever. You kind of knew that Bobby was going to win it. He got over. They're just trying to prolong it to the next pay per view, which is yeah, that's just a WWE thing. But like every match though that was on that card was a solid, at least B plus like match in my opinion. And then you get to night two, and it's literally like the wheels just came off, and the train just kept rolling through through the tunnel, and it wasn't. There was nothing for it to grip to, man. It was just a train wreck, and it was horrible. In my That's my opinion of it. I mean, like the you
yeah.
know a lot of the matches like got changed like literally like on night one they changed it for night two, which made no sense on who was going to win and who was going to lose, which is crazy. Um, like the Fiend
Yeah, I,
who got
I, I, all I know about the WrestleMania, I didn't watch any of it, and all I know about is I hear these massive production problems, and I think, there's no way in hell. Like, I've been in business 20 some years. I know problems happen, but how the f are you not prepared for like something that you've done? What WrestleMania was this?
37.
You've done this 36 times.
Yeah,
And the last time we did it on a multi-day was WrestleMania, what, two? And everybody,
30. No, 36 was also. I think 36 was also a two
oh,
day.
okay. But
Yeah.
like, okay. Well, these last two had to be weird because of Corona, right? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, also the other thing is too they partner with Peacock, which is from NBC and like Comcast. Um, and like the production issues, I don't know necessarily were WWE production issues or if it was the fact that the network
Mhm.
is now part of Peacock and it was an issue with just the two of them doing whatever they do. I mean, I don't know anything about production. I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I do. I
Yeah.
don't know. You know what I mean? Also, like the rain didn't help very much on night one as far as like equipment and damaging things.
I
They were
saw the
moving.
start when they're just standing there in the rain and it's real awkward. And I go, a lot of people get paid a lot of money just for a bunch of like, oops. The old man had to be fuming.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I
Wow.
mean, you figure you're talking about being in Tampa Bay in an open stadium, which I mean, okay, like that sounds like a good idea. Like if it's not a torrential downpour, you know what I mean? And there's no way for them
It
to.
had to happen though. It
Well,
had to
yeah. I
happen.
mean, and there's
You
no
know?
way that anybody could have knew that it was going to happen anyway. You know what I mean? But like, why didn't you have a backup plan? Like, hey, like if this happens, this is what we're gonna do. If this
Yeah.
happens, this is what we're gonna do. It's just like,
I don't know.
I
I
don't
mean,
know
you'd
either.
like to say that maybe all their backup plans fell, but everything just feels weird about it. But I will say this, despite all the weirdness in the WWE, they turned in 2020 was the most successful year and most profitable year that they have ever had.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the Thunderdome.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Tony Khan and everybody was out to prove that the old touring model and busting guys down on 100 house shows a week does not is there's better ways to make profit. And I think you've just been
Yeah.
doing it for so long. And it's businesses don't stay the problem with most businesses, they keep doing shit. And when you ask them, why are you still doing it? Most don't say, I don't know. Where's the data to back it up? Well,
Yeah.
obviously, we've been doing this. It needed to go away. Last we April 15th is actually we're actually a one this is the 1 year anniversary of the big releases last year.
Yeah.
And guess
Yeah.
what happened today? Have you heard?
I have not.
Samoa Joe, free agent.
Really?
Oh boy, I'm breaking some
Yeah, we know
news
where he's.
with you right now.
We know
Hey,
where he's going.
Peyton, well, I'm going to say he's going to TNA. I'll say he's
I
going to
don't think so. I think he's going to go to AEW.
He had a good relationship with Impact. Most Impact guys kind of
Yeah.
creep back to Impact. Impact's smart enough now. With Callis, they're smart enough to go. We need Joe's a TNA guy.
Oh, I know Joe's a TNA guy.
So,
I mean, that's like bringing AJ Styles back.
Yeah,
You know
Peyton
what I mean?
Royce.
Not a big loss.
Okay. Now here's a personal favorite of mine, and I hope he goes to AEW. Bo Dallas.
See, now that's somebody who I can honestly tell you, I feel like his talent was squandered in WWE.
He was the first.
The
He
guy
was the first to
was
be pulled.
incredible.
Yes.
In NXT. Incredible. And then you put him on a main roster, which what surprises me is like Bray Wyatt, nobody knows this. Bray Wyatt's his brother.
You sure nobody knows that?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people know that. But
you know who their dad was?
Their dad was IRS.
Yeah. I mean, what's up? Yeah.
But I mean, why they never put the two of them together? Like even like with the Wyatt family, with now with the Fiend and whatever. Why they never put the two of them together?
Maybe you don't want to be with your brother. I don't know.
Because I get that,
the problem is that Bo Dallas was one of the very first people that Triple H built. Well, I won't say that but he was one of the first big breakout NXT guys. Yeah. He was also the first example of someone going to the main roster and just getting demolished and being a goofy idiot. And I remember the Bo leave when he was coming. It was big. And it was an example of, Vince probably not liking one of Triple H's little things and just.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole Bo leave.
Let's not forget, before Bray Wyatt was Bray Wyatt, he was freaking what? Husky Harris?
Husky Harris, yeah.
And then we wonder why these kids can't get over. What was Kurt Hennig's son? He still can't get over.
Curtis
Axel. Was something stupid too. McGillicuddy.
Something
Mike McGillicuddy and Husky Harris. There's your
little,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with WWE. Like believe me, whenever I tell you, I watch WWE and I do like some of the stuff, but for the most part, the reason I watch it is because a lot of the guys that I like that are older are still there. And that's really why I still watch it. You know what I mean? Just to be honest, that's why I still watch it. And I think it's also just I'm a creature of habit. And it's it's so easy to just tune in on Monday and just watch wrestling and just know that it's going to be there. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. And
it's a comfort food to you.
But I mean, I tune into the Dynamite every Wednesday too. You know what I mean? I'm not too big into independence and stuff, and I know you are, but AEW, WWE, I watch them pretty much religiously every week. I watch everything that goes on with them. And it's the only thing that they did well in the last month was WrestleMania. and they finally put Cesaro over Seth Rollins, which they're giving Cesaro a push, which I don't know if you know who that is, but that guy is literally
Yeah, I've been waiting for his push since he won the Andre the
yeah,
Giant
dude.
Battle Royal.
That's another guy though that you can honestly say he is probably one of the best workers in the business, and they've just let him fail. And I don't know why. Because like the guy's talent, he's talented. Like he can't talk as well as somebody, but he's also not. He's not. He doesn't speak English. I mean, he does speak English. But, you know, he has an accent, and I think the Vince McMahon kind of has an issue with people who have accents a little bit. And I think that's the reason why he wasn't pushed, which is ridiculous.
Well, he was even given Paul Heyman at one point to kind of
Yeah,
say
I
he
mean,
was a
if
Heyman
you get
guy,
Paul Heyman
and that
and
like
you
faded
get over,
away. And then like he pair him up with Sheamus, and that's kind of when I liked the Sheamus pair up, but then I kind of checked out on Cesaro. Listen, I may not watch, but don't ever think that I don't know exactly
okay,
what's going on in every federation.
okay,
All right.
good,
When there's some people above the average wrestling carny, it's me, Don Callis, and Kenny Omega. All
yeah.
right. And you might be right here somewhere in there, but I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay. You like ECW, and I know like this, a lot of my close personal friends went, I'm gonna put a minus on the points there. So
Yeah.
wrap it up on WrestleMania. What else was cool? You didn't like the
The
big Drew McIntyre match, you just went, not
it
interested.
wasn't into it, man. The best thing that happened on WrestleMania, in my opinion, was Bianca Belair winning the title. The women in every promotion, in my opinion, are doing some of the best work out there. Like, I mean, dude, the men are not even comparing to what some of these women are doing.
The
And
men
it's
have the
just
better storylines right
they do.
now,
They
but the
do.
women are having the better
They're
matches.
better workers.
Uh
They are because, and the reason I think that the women are better workers is because they're not given those story opportunities. So they're like, okay, so I don't have a showcase. I can go out here and tell a story that's going to put people, going to get me over. So I got to go out here and wrestle as hard as I can and get myself over. And this is what I got to do.
Well, yeah,
And I
you're
think
only
Becky
given as
Lynch
much
showed that,
time, whether
you
you're
know, a
given
few
a
years ago.
minute or 30 seconds,
Yeah.
you got to make the most of it when you're an
Yep.
entertainer. And that's what you have to do. And the ones that are going out there and having the great matches are succeeding. But the ones that are going out there and telling the stories and having the great matches are even succeeding more. And I'll tell you, and this is going to be a good, I have a couple segues here to come out of WrestleMania. And I would have liked to talk about Impact Wrestling right now, but I'm going to tell you what, when I wrap my notes up for the week by Wednesday, I already had that there was an Impact Tuesday night, but it's on stupid access. You have to watch it on Twitch. You have to do all this. And then there's no on the YouTube channel, there's no updates on what happened. So I missed it. You can't see the replay. And I'm like thinking, you know what, Impact? I'm not going to talk about you, and I'm going to reserve this slot for a local company, IWC, who is slowly infiltrating a lot of their roster on that AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation show. And Britt Baker, when we're speaking of the women, a year ago, if you'd asked me what I thought about Britt Baker, I said she might know what she's doing in the ring, but her acting, her face says she's afraid and she doesn't know what she's doing. And through the last year, someone worked with her and she's gone from doughy eyed to now you can see that she is comfortable in her character, and she will go out and bleed like a stuffed pig with my personal favorite female wrestler of all time, Thunder Rosa. All right. And Britt Baker, in front of everybody in the world, I talked crap on you last year, but boy, I take it back. You have gotten, the Swin Shock, boy, you've achieved award. And it's great to see all the other IWC guys. But when I know what's going on in the local indie shows more than I know what's going on Impact, TNA Impact is failing on a business level. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, so I'm doing my notes. Screw it. I'll talk about IWC. All right. I know Jack Palance just went up for a big. Cole Carter was a rookie last year. He just got called up to AEW Elevation. And whether these lead to long-time things or they're filling spots, that's AEW's primary goal is long-term bench building. And as a business standpoint, not just a pro wrestling thing, it's genius. IWC, you got a big summer season coming up. I can't wait to see all the guys out there. I can't wait to see the guys who are stepping up on AEW. Need to get our Johnny Patch up on AEW so I can text him and say, boy, you look like your head's big on TV. Because that's what I do. What's your ultimate opinion of TNA Impact? Were you a fan? Are you a fan now? Do you hate it? What's the deal?
To be honest, like I'm not an Impact guy. Like I never have been. Like I even like whenever it was on like Spike TV and stuff like that, I just never really got into it.
Even if your precious Rich Swann is there,
you
don't like Rich Swann?
He's good. He's all right.
He was a cruiserweight classic guy.
I mean, he's all right, but like. I don't know. Like, I just feel
your
like
your dog didn't like that. Your dog was like, no.
No, I just feel like Impact, as it stands right now, and you're gonna probably hate me for saying this. I feel like it's an in between WWE. If I get fired from WWE, I can go to TNA, and it's not that I can't make money here. I can make a little bit of money here. But my ultimate goal is I'm going to get on TV in AEW, and I think that's really like the general progression is WWE. I get fired, go to TNA, go to AEW, or vice versa. I get fired from AEW, go to TNA, and hopefully someday I'm going to get into WWE. The problem with it is I don't think WWE is looking for any talent right now because they don't really need any talent at this point. And I think that
is that a bad thing? I question. I agree.
I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
I agree with everything you're saying right there. That it's a middle point. But my point to you is it not a great thing if there's 5 middle points between AEW and WWE?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I don't take it as I'm saying anything negative about it.
Options are great.
Yes.
And as wrestling fans, whether we look at it as that Hydrox brand or not, what the last 20 years of tyranny and boring product that we got, that's the fault of not having competition.
Absolutely.
So that's why, like when in 2013, when the Bullet Club formed in New Japan, I was all in and I was back and I was indie scene. And TNA had been disappointing me for a few years at that point. And the biggest thing that indie wrestler, that any wrestling fan can do is just love all of wrestling.
No, yeah.
Except WWE. Because because we have to, like in 2002 when Vince brought the poison in to kill it. WWE and the concept and Vince's concepts need to die. It's been great. It's been an empire, but at the end of the day, it wasn't pro wrestling. It was sports entertainment. Pro wrestling's back now. That's the big difference.
But here's the thing, though, that I think with WWE that we're slowly going back into is that now that you have competition with AEW, and let's face it, I don't care what anybody says, you can sit there and say it's not a Wednesday night war, it's not a Monday night war, whatever. Okay, ratings are now dictated completely different than they were in the 90s. You have YouTube, you have social media, you have all these different outlets that are completely different than what you had in the 90s. In the 90s, you had TV, and this is what you had. This is it. You know what I mean? Like you had the internet, but it was dirt sheets. It was stuff like that. It wasn't any video really, and that's the thing. And like AEW has done is they have used YouTube to their advantage.
Brother, which is perfect. You said it right there. That's the key. AEW wouldn't be here if it wasn't for YouTube.
Absolutely.
And it breaks my heart to watch these indie guys that I go and watch at these shows and go, fuck, you're great in the fucking ring. You look like $1 million, but God, take an acting class or get a presence on social media and become a star
Yep.
because the Young Bucks did it.
Yeah.
And right now, it doesn't take much money. And I'm telling you, I've been trying to put together a group of investors to actually go out and do this. It ain't but much money to get a venue right now in the Corona world and slap a couple rings together, turnkey styles at one of my manufacturing shops. All right. This is real things. And the not only did wrestling change, and you were right on it with the ratings, how we consume all of our entertainment has changed.
Yeah. I mean,
And
how
from
many
that
times?
that quarter hour mark that was so important in the 90s that dictated that Monday Night War is such a dead concept now. The thing, there is nothing wrong, quote unquote wrong, with what Vince has done, with whatever he has done in his vision, and the only reason is I'm saying is it doesn't it's a shadow of pro wrestling to me. And that's why I haven't been interested in the Vince McMahon WWE vision. And it's always been missing. There's been a void since WCW has left. And like I said, they can do this. They can have their weird, and he cannot want the women in the intergender thing. And I didn't know how I felt about that for the longest time until we had Johnny Patch, a IWC local pro wrestler, on our podcast, and he was like, "No, man, like that's the most purest form of like think about what wrestling is," and it's just like. And his comment was, if you're not down with intergender wrestling, then you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, wow, I get that.
Well, my thing is if you were a pro wrestler, if you're somebody who watches pro wrestling, if you're a pro wrestler, if anybody gets in the ring and wants to wrestle, like let's say you have Thunder Rosa and you have Corey, Cody. Anyway, you have Cody and you have Thunder Rosa get in a ring, right? And they want to have a wrestling match. They're trained to do that. So they should be able to have a wrestling match just like if Cody and Matt Jackson get in a ring and want to have a wrestling match.
Yeah. Matt, get us back on topic because every time we try to talk about AEW, you bring up some obscure WWE reference.
Sorry.
And if you want to impress with WWE knowledge, I mean, I don't know if you know about what do you know about P.S. Michael Hayes fighting a coyote in the parking lot down south, and he won. If you want to talk about the dark secrets of wrestling, I know them, buddy. I know them. So WWE is its thing, and we've beaten that horse to the ground. And AEW, I'm sold. You're sold, but you're careful. You don't want too much hope. You're like Hawkeye in Endgame. Yeah. Don't give me hope. Is how you feel. Is what I'm getting from you. TNA Impact, you pricks lost out on me talking about you this week. New Japan, what are you thinking about? Before we close some things out here, anything you like in New Japan? What's up?
I'll be honest with you, I have never really watched New Japan. Whoa. Now hold on.
Okay.
But whenever AEW came about, whenever they were announcing they were going to become a show and they were, and all that stuff, I started looking up like the Bullet Club because I was never really familiar with the Bullet. Like I knew who they were and I knew like what they did, but I was never like privy to like knowing what the Bullet Club really was. You know what I mean? So I started like watching matches from New Japan with the Bullet Club. Obviously, like super impressive. I started looking up other wrestlers that are in New Japan, who are, some of them are now part of the Bullet Club, then they, whatever. But, I never really got into much of like that scene. And I don't know if it was necessarily that I didn't want to watch it or if I just didn't I just never thought to look it up. You know what I mean? So like now, like part of my homework is I need to start looking into like New Japan wrestling, like some wrestlers and stuff like that. And So that's my take on New
You
Japan. I just never really
you've
watched it.
never got the privilege to see Shinsuke Nakamura wrestle anywhere else other than NXT and WWE.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh man. It's sad. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. AJ Styles is a 10 out of 10 wrestler wherever he's at. I'm surprised most of his shit does not get toned down in WWE.
Mhm.
Nakamura does not use anything close to the strong style that he is known for. His character was way better over there. Uh, uh, Give it some watch it. There is definitely more you'll watch, and I want you to really pay attention to how the Japanese crowd watches wrestling and
Mhm.
respects it. And you'll start to see it's a symphony. You'll start learning. Watching Japanese wrestling can teach a smart fan ring rhythm because you can feel it in the crowd in Japan because it's a low, and you'll watch the crowd. And then it starts to crescendo into the boom, 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 and then you have an explosion, and then you have all these little okay, cool it down moments. Okay, you have a lot. They'll rise, they'll clap, and then everyone sits back down. They're quiet, and you have a lot of these crescendo moments, and it is a radical. It's different. You'll go. This is feels like home, but it's different.
Mhm.
It's something to watch. But if if you're a student of the game, it's something cool to watch.
Yeah.
That's really all the major ones. I'm not really. I mean, Ring of Honor hasn't done anything since Corona. I don't think. I was happy that Marty was booking there, but then I know Marty got some kind of sex scandal bullshit against him at one point, which I'm glad. Then okay, I don't know. Hope that was cleared, or if he was guilty, then hopefully he.
You talking about Marty Scurll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to him with all that.
Didn't he like take over something for Ring of Honor?
He
Like
got an
something?
offer. He was a couple months after the rest of the elite contracts were up, and then he got a Ring of Honor contract. But then they sweetened the deal and said, "By the way, we want you to be the booker of everything too." So he got
Okay.
all nice
Okay.
money. The money
Okay.
was great, and
Okay.
they sweetened the pot by saying, "You're head booker. We want you to run the
Okay.
show."
Okay. Because
And
I knew there
Billy
was something that
Corgan,
he
I think
got.
Billy Corgan was the one that offered him to that because Billy Corgan, he's big time in the wrestling, Mr.
Oh
Smashing
yeah.
Pumpkins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, he'll do a lot once Ring of Honor comes back after they get their Corona plan or whatever. I'm sure they plan on coming back. They'll do business with AEW and TNA. We'll have a lot of good time. Well, I mean, Thunder Rosa's here, so that's
Yeah.
why she's here because they're not using those bells. They're not doing
Yeah.
anything with them. Anything else you want to? Anything else I need to teach you, Matt?
Huh?
What
Huh?
else? All right, man. Well, what'd you think of this episode?
I liked it.
Yeah, did you?
Did you like it?
Did you get everything you had out?
Nah. Of
No.
course
What
not.
else did
No.
you want? Well, listen. We got
No, no,
time
no, no,
before
man.
we
No, we
wrap
got
it
more
up.
weeks to get. We got more time to go, man.
Yeah,
Like we got more episodes.
we threw a lot out there, folks. Get with us. We had a plan. We wanted to kind of hit some WWE stuff. That was what he was going to do, and I was going to really dig into the AEW. But we kind of think we needed an episode here to where we just kind of like maybe square off and circle each other with some data and opinion, and and just kind of feel each other out.
Yeah.
And see if we're going to click and see if this is all going to pay off. You know what I mean? I just need to know where your head's at. All right, okay, right now, let me just throw some things at you out here. Disco Inferno. Does it ring a bell? Yeah. What about him?
Uh,
Any
he
opinions?
he's
Disco
a
Inferno.
wrestler.
Any
He
opinions
was
about him?
he was a wrestler. um no, he's a good dude, man. I don't know, back in
Up
the
or
day
down?
when
Up or down? We're gonna do a rap. I'm rapid firing shit at you. Up or
I
down?
give him an up.
Alex Wright, this Wonder Kid.
That one I don't know.
Okay, let me look at you. The great Muda.
I would give that one an up.
Okay. Kevin Sullivan.
I'd give it a down.
Okay.
Okay,
Eugene
all right. Eugene, he's an up.
Goldberg.
Down.
Gilbert.
Down.
Flair.
Up.
X-Pac.
Up.
Batista.
Down.
Edge.
Down.
Chris Jericho.
Up. Way up.
Jack
Way up.
Swagger.
He's there, man. I don't know.
Jake Hager.
He's there. He's there too because like I haven't seen enough of him in AEW to like make a determination. Really,
I don't know. MJF.
Oh, he's way up there. That guy's doing some like incredible work, man.
Seth Rollins.
I don't care. like, not to be
Adam
like
Cole, baby.
Up there. He's up there.
Wardlow.
He's another guy that I think I haven't seen enough.
Tama Tonga.
He's up there.
Sammy Guevara.
He's up there.
Yeah. Angelico.
Down.
What? Proud and Powerful.
Up.
Who's your favorite?
I like them both. I can never remember their names, and that's the sad part. I know who they are, obviously.
The small guy is Ortiz.
No, dude. Like, whenever he does that cat thing,
when he's doing the cat shit.
That is the greatest thing ever.
Like, I love him.
Oh,
okay,
dude,
listen, we're getting off the track. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going here.
So good.
Arn Anderson.
Up.
Dustin Rhodes.
Up.
Virgil.
Up.
$1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
Up. Classic up.
Randall Orton.
Nah, he's a down for me.
Cowboy Bob Orton.
He's an up.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. I just want to see where you're at a little bit. Okay. Just Mr. Perfect.
Up.
Rick Rude.
Up.
Okay. All right. Louis Spicolli.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. All right. Man Mountain Rock.
Who?
Folks, if you like wrestling like we do, and you heard a little bit of passion, you learned something, you like Matt over here, you can call him the new guy if you guys want to. I don't want to like hashtag the new guy or anything like that. Let's not get that started. But he is the mouth of Monongahela Matthew Mounts.
That's right.
Woo! The quadruple M. That's M-A-double-T. I don't know. That's it. That's all I got. I can't do anything cool with your last name, though.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I'm no longer the champ, man. And
well, it depends on who you talk to, because you're always the champ for me.
Well, I'm not anymore, and I hate to disappoint. As you can see, the belt is no longer there. There's some Magic the Gathering packs that need cracked open up there. But I'm not allowed to discuss any of that. The future will hold all the answers, and everybody will get to see just exactly how I lost the fighting championship in the PVGA. And I don't know, man. I ain't got nothing else to say. I used to say game over on other podcasts, but I don't feel that that's appropriate. And I don't like retreading on like old stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say instead of game over, I would say it's game on.
Okay, well, why don't you say it?
All right, game on.
That's how you want to end the show.
That's all I want to say. It's game on.
Are you telling like what right now, or do you want to go like one? Like we can count like 1, 2, 3, and then game on, and then I'll cut.
That's fine.
All right.
1.
What was the lesson I taught you earlier?
Anticipation.
Make them late.
That's right. Game on.
All right, man. Good show.